Ortiz, we've finished up another year of school. You've got a year's experience now under your belt. The budget is looking a little better.
Right now, it's looking a little bit better as we went down to the spring budget in April, where they give us our numbers and they kind of let us know what we will have. We kind of looked at it and it was really good. You know, they gave us more money. It was about, I think it was 74.97 more. Okay, and then they also mandated teacher raises, which again I've told Billy many times that I'm very excited for the teachers. It's about time they got a raise and stuff. But the way they mandated it through the legislative session is, you know, you move the bottom tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3, up $2,000, and then on top of that, you averaged a 2.5 on top of it. So we try to give everyone that. When you do that on a salary schedule, you hit 2,000, and then the salary schedule then has to move down accordingly. So we were very fortunate, and we kind of did. We kind of did that and gave everybody in the district at least a 2.5. The way they ran on a salary schedule, some may have gotten a bigger raise, and that just depends if they're moving across levels and stuff like that. So we're very fortunate. We just talked to our budget analyst this morning, and we asked where our budget was. You know, what steps are they still looking at? And he said it's in the final stages of being approved. So we're excited about that. We're still, like I told you a while back, we're leveling out. You know, after last year's layoffs and stuff like that, you know, and so we're actually leveling out now as a district. We did apply for a little bit of emergency supplemental just to have our 3% carryover. We're not in the negative in the district anymore, and we're doing a really good job. So I feel that my business manager and myself and all the people that work around principals and everything been real frugal about how we spend it without interrupting kids' education. So
Right.
It's looking pretty good. We're just right now in the month of June just trying to finish this fiscal year, and then we'll roll over the 1st of July for the next fiscal year and start getting ready for that.
And then the next thing you start looking at after July will be your student enrollment. And
Yeah.
that will also affect how much the district gets.
It always does. What they'll do is they'll take the average of the 80th and 120th day next year. We've already have our average for this coming year, and then what they do is we base our budget on those numbers and a lot of other factors that come in. You know, we have special ed and rural income and our small size school size. So there's a lot of factors that come in. But yeah, we're always worried about population in our schools and in our community. You know, I think the last time you and I talked, Kmart was about ready to kind of shut down, and that was very sad for our community and a lot of things. So we'll have to see how that affects our enrollment as the new coming school year comes up. I do see a lot of people around town, and they're people that have moved out and said, hey, we moved back to Raton, I have 3 kids coming in. So I see some of that sometimes, but I wish we'd see more of it. But you know, but we're hoping that our population kind of at least levels out. So, but you never know from year to year. You just take it as it goes.
Right, it fluctuates.
It fluctuates quite a bit. You can have quite a few kids on the 40th day, but by the time it's really time to count them on the 80th and 120th, those numbers can drop dramatically.
Or to go up, we're hoping.
We're hoping they go up. And in the last 2 years, they've gone down, but not to the extent that we had in the previous years. You know, instead of losing 100 kids, maybe we've lost 30 kids or 40 kids, which that's a big difference when you're not losing a big group of kids all at once. But again, it still depends on the economics of Raton and what happens within our city.
It's the summertime, the buildings are empty, it's time to get into maintenance and that kind of stuff. What projects are planned? I had visited with Ben Munden earlier, and he said, I'm shorthanded.
We're very short-handed. We lost a principal at Longfellow. We lost a custodian at Longfellow. Then also have one that's going to be retiring in July. So we're actually, I think today or I think within the next week we have the closing dates for custodians, and we've had a few people come in and are interested, which is good. I was kind of optimistic there for a while. I was only having 1 or 2 applicants, and I think right now I've seen 3 or 4 of them that have come in. So I'm excited to see if we can hire them. But yes, we are kind of shorthanded right now. I have my maintenance people really kind of starting to work on the schools. We're just trying to get them ready for the beginning of the school year. It is a long process. You know, people think, well, we just got to sweep it up and do those things. We take all the furniture out of the classrooms. We shampoo the rugs very, very good. And then our custodial staff usually ends up stripping the floors and then re-waxing and doing those kind of things. So they're very busy at this point doing that. And we have a contingency plan. I've always talked to Ben and said, hey, if we're falling short on certain areas, we just get everybody to work at one spot, and we'll have the schools ready, guaranteed. We'll be doing we resurface the floors again every year. We strip and then do that. So the gym floors, that we're going to do the mid school or RIS again. I always call it the mid school. I'm sorry. We're going to do RIS this year because I don't want to let that gym go. And so August the 6th through the 12th, those floors will be redone, and made sure it wouldn't interfere with volleyball practice or anything.
Right.
Talked to the volleyball coach. She won't start till the 13th, so we'll be in good shape. So those are some projects we're doing. I think one of the things that I correlate with the city and the Department of Transportation is we do a little paving project almost every year. So hopefully this year, I've talked to Jason up at the city, and they're going to be doing some paving around the mid-school. And one of those, the little parking lot over there at the mid-school, we're going to try to get that paved. Maintenance, like I said, they're just busy just trying to keep up
Right.
with everything. And so it's our busy season too, because we have a lot of fields to mow, we have a lot of grass to cut, a lot of weeds to cut, so that keeps them quite busy. But I want to just let everybody know that the custodial staff here at the schools, they work hard, and they keep our schools clean, and they try their best to what they can do. There's a large area that they have to keep clean, so just if you've ever had to clean a large area, you probably know what I'm talking about. So.
Right. Have you come up with any ideas on what the plan is, or is there a plan for the track at Tiger Stadium?
You know, we're still looking at that. It's going to be a correlation between if I can work with our city, with even just different ways we can start looking at grants that maybe we can get something going with the track, because I know the community uses it. It's an asset to our community. And I really, again, I talk to people. I've ran track first in Raton many moons ago, coached track, and then also was a very integral part of putting on all the track meets that happened, even the last track meet that we had in Raton, and it's an asset for our community. It brings in different teams from all over the place. So I would really love to continue working on getting something going with the track, because it's an integral part of our community and of our school. So again, it's just trying to find a grant that we would be able to. A lot of times though, the problem with grants, if you know that, you always have to have a match for them. So those are
Right.
the things we have to look at. And I'm hoping as the year goes by, next year and the year after, we're stable enough, we're saving enough money where we're able to take a look at it. I've even tried some different ideas. We have SB9 monies. We're paying off our mid-school roof or intermediate roof this year. So we will have more money in that, but not enough money to actually do a whole track, because every time I've talked to different contractors or people down at the state level that come up, they have come up. There's quite a few companies that have come up and looked at our track, and they always tell us if you're going to do it, it's going to cost you around $300 to $350.
Right.
So we're looking at that, but again, it's finding the right grant, or maybe some kind of. It would be nice if we had some kind of sponsor, but we'll continue looking at that. That's still one of the priorities that I'd like to see done in my lifetime here. So.
Right. One of the other things, I don't know if anybody really paid that much attention to it, but the sign there on the north or the southeast corner right now is blank. Is that something that could we get an art class or something?
Yeah, I've been looking at that, and last year I had a full-time art teacher over there at the high school with all the cuts and stuff. I have an art teacher for 2 periods. I'm hoping now that I've got her settled in, she was with the district before, but at the elementary. So now that we've got her settled in at the high school, she only does 2 periods over there. So I may ask her if she can figure who are some great artists down there. Because
Right.
when I grew up, when I was 5 years old, believe it or not, when we go to the football games, when we're able to park around the stadium, I still remember that sign and
Right.
stuff. And even as I coached and as I went through a lot of years, it's a sign I think that we need to do some things at the stadium to beautify it. We also did some, I asked my maintenance crew on the south end. We had a lot of stuff that we kind of just were maintaining, a lot of old playground equipment and stuff like that. So we've kind of moved that out and kind of cleaned up that area to make our field more presentable.
Right.
And so yes, that is something that I'm going to be looking at with our art teacher.
Well, very good. That's the one way that, to keep the kids interested and keep them involved in
yes.
what we do at the school is always beneficial.
Oh, of course, and I want to talk to her, and also at one time I was even contemplating, we have a lot of great artists that came out of Raton.
Right.
You know, and just saying, is anyone interested in, you know, a contest and see what you would want to put on that. So that's another idea that we might have, because, I mean, we have people that have come out of Raton that were great artists. They may not do it as a profession, but they have the ability to do it. So that's another option that I may have. It just depends on how well we can coordinate that with the high school group, you know.
Right. One of the other things, we keep having little issues with the scoreboard at the high school gym, and of course, the scoreboard at the intermediate school is so old. What, do you possibly have plans in the future for replacement or working those out, as well as the one at the baseball field?
Oh, yeah.
You know, since we lost that building at the baseball field, have they talked about maybe making it a wireless setup?
Well, what I ended up doing when that accident happened over there at the baseball field, I had an opportunity to talk to Jason and talk to Scott, and even PJ was there at one time. All of that goes through the city. It's not owned by the school at all.
Right.
So when I talked to Scott, he said it's going to be a slow process, but he's hoping by the beginning of the baseball season of next year that there should be a scoreboard up there and working. So again, I have not had an opportunity to talk to him. I would say with technology the way it is, actually I think when I talked to PJ and that happened in 2008, the technology was still coming, but right now as we're in 2018 going on to 19, I think our technology with wireless and everything, we will have a better opportunity to get a better system in there. And I'm not sure if that entails getting a new scoreboard or not. It just depends if they can manage to hook the old scoreboard up to new equipment. So
Right. And at the gym?
what what I need to look at again is mainly where can I find money to get scoreboards. And what it has to do in any process like this, it has to be kind of a long range goal. Okay, this year we'll do intermediate school, the next year let's get the high school, or vice versa. And so we have to look where we can find some money to do that. I know a lot of times you get sponsors and stuff like that. So those are things that we can look at, but I know it's very difficult. Our scoreboards are very old, and sometimes it's hard to keep them up because they're so old. But we're going to try. We're gonna, again, step by step. Again, we're just going to try to take baby steps to see how we can not break ourselves, but at the same time be able to make our gymnasium, which again, I'm being biased, I think is one of the best looking gymnasiums in the state. And so I think if we add some scoreboards that are up to date and stuff, it really makes a difference. So
What other technologies are you looking at throughout the next few years to bring into the school system?
right now, what I've been working with is Joe Gallardi is our IT person, and he has kept up our bandwidth, all of our technology better than I know most schools have. So what we're looking at is we need to replace servers in our schools, which they're expensive. So that's my first priority, because without the servers, we're not going to be able to do anything else with internet or whatever. So the first priority is getting new servers, which I think he told me the servers were about 6 or 7 years old, which they're outdated within that that period of time. So that's my first priority right now. We have Chromebooks, we have iPads in the schools that students are able to use. Longfellow, through different grants, they have ITVs that they use there too. So the technology that we're looking at right now, it's being used. And right now, I can just tell you, we're just trying to update our system to make sure that our broadband is great. So when we do our park testing, there's no flaws. And I was very fortunate this year. We didn't have many problems at all. Usually I talk to other school districts and they're like, our broadband isn't that good. If we get so many people on at one time, it just slows down immensely. But we have kept up with our technology, I think, very well. The tech bond that the board put out a few years ago made a difference on us being able to get a lot of things in the kids' hands, and they do use them. I go into the classrooms, intermediate school, Longfellow, and at the high school, they do use those Chromebooks, and they do a very good job of trying to to kind of keep up with technology. So I think we are at a place in the Raton Public Schools where technology has been kept up really well, and we're trying to stay ahead of the game right now.
That's a tough one, to stay
It
ahead
is.
of the game.
It is, because you order a computer and a week later it's outdated. But I said we've been fortunate that Mr. Gallardi has been able to, take parts from old computers and reprogram them and do a lot of things, which has saved the district a lot of money. So those are things that we look at, and I just want to let the public know that the actual tech bond that was passed a few years ago, it is making a difference in our schools, where we have kids on Chromebooks, we have them on
Right.
iPads, we have a great internet system. Our student information system was part of that too, that we're being able to maintain that. That's all the reporting that we do to the state. So a lot of that has made our school a lot better, so.
Very good. This year, we've had some changes come along throughout the year. You've had a few teachers that have finally come into the time where they said it's time to retire. How many teachers did you end up having retire this year, and how many are you having to replace? I know with the budget being what it is, did you just eliminate any positions based on retirements? or is
Honestly, this
everything-
year we didn't. We were able to replace, because as you know, if you're a teacher and you've been working 36 years, like Carol Unger, I'll give you an example.
Mhm.
So she's making quite a bit with her years and experience and her training. So we're able to hire someone to be in her place. I'm not going to say replace Carol, because Carol was a
Carol
great
will
teacher.
be a hard one
Yes.
to replace.
Yes, but and they all are. I have Dana Medina that's retired, and we have a few people that have gone their own separate ways to other schools or whatever. But yes, it's made a difference when we're able to bring in teachers that are quality teachers, but yet they're younger teachers, so we're able to pay them less, and that kind of helps the budget. So this year I didn't have to do any attrition. In years past they'll say, oh, we lost that position, we're not going to hire for that position. Right now we're stable, and a lot of the board meetings that we had for budget, I told the board that this is a good year for us, because we kind of leveled out and saving a little bit of money, not by hiring just anybody. We're hiring quality teachers, I think, and that can come into the classroom and help the kids. So we've had a few teachers kind of retire. Those are two off the hand. Mr. Hogg retired. We've had some people leave us for other opportunities too, and then we were able to hire some other teachers that were in our schools before that
Right.
we had to let go, and so we're evening out. Right now we have a social studies position open, and I'm really advertising a lot of coaching with that. And then also I have one elementary position open. I'm also waiting, we have a Reads to Lead grant that we get every year. I'm hoping to hear from them either today or tomorrow. And last year we were able to, they gave us $260,000 for that. And we're able to hire a lot of interventionists at the elementary schools. It's an elementary grant, K-3. So I'm hoping, I know it's gonna be less this year. So we're kind of seeing where we have to go with staffing. And so that's the only unknown right now that I have. So
Right.
other than that, I think we're hoping to be fully staffed. I'm hoping by the time we turn over in July.
What do you look forward to, or what can you tell the citizens of Raton that you're looking forward to come August, when school starts back up?
Well, I look forward to the brand new year at a new start. Every year we end the year and we try to make sure we look back at all the things that we accomplished in a year, and we continue to try to accomplish more and more things with our kids. But it's trying to get our kids excited about school. We're trying to get our parents to get their kids excited about school, and just get them in here and know what education is all about and how important it is in one's life. And that's always the most important thing to me when we get into a new school year, is how can we get people enthusiastic about coming back to school. Everybody's excited the first day of school to come back in.
Right.
You come back in about a month or two and they're like, I've got to come to school again. So one of the things is, how do we keep our students interested? We're working, I was working with a person, Retha. She did the Retha Shipley. she did the strategic planning for the city. And I brought her in this year to work with the high school to start some strategic planning there. And then we're also gonna do, I've asked her if she would come back, and we're ready to do a strategic plan for the Raton Public Schools. I feel in the past, we've always been interested about starting a strategic plan. We do our mission and it's a pure mission and our goals and everything, and that's part of a strategic plan, but I really wanna make sure that I involve everybody, not
Right.
just team leaders or whatever. What I've asked Retha to do, and she did this with the high school a couple of weeks ago, and that was a good training for them. They sat down with what are things we love to do in our schools, and what are things that we can improve on, and how can we make school better for kids. And so those are some things that I think I'm excited about. I really want to get a strategic plan for our schools and just know what direction the schools really want to go in. So I think that's what excites me about the beginning of August is fresh faces. You get to see the kids coming back excited about school, and then I also want to see the teachers excited and everybody just being ready to learn. And
Right.
bottom line, that's what I like about the beginning of the year. It's just a new start. We want to try to see where we left off. What can we do to improve? What were the good things that we were doing, and how can we make them better?
Do you have any special plans to help improve parent participation in the school system?
You know,
Because that's always been something that it's very important that the kids have the support of their parents and they're involved in it.
And we do, my two elementary teachers, principals, and I'm not gonna take credit for this, have been working with their PAC committees, and it's our parent advisory committees. And I know a group has started a PTO in Raton, and they've been doing some fundraising and trying to make some money. And I think with that organization getting started back up again, because we had PTA before.
Right.
And so I think that would be one way we could try to involve parents. And one of the things I would like to say, if you're listening out there, one of the most important things I used to say when I was at Longfellow, I see a lot of parents at Longfellow Elementary, pre-K through 2, and then I go up to the high school and there's 2 or 3 parents. Remember, be involved with them all the time. And I think the strategic plan is just trying to get them involved as they come new to our schools in the pre-K, kindergarten, first, second grade, and try to keep them latched as they move on to 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and then really try to work, if the PTO becomes a stronger organization and they're able to work with a lot of parents and they get enough involvement in there, then I think that makes a difference. You know, we always invite parents to come into the schools. We want to make sure that they're an integral part of their students' education. But that's one part that I can think we can try to get more interest in. We do have a lot of literacy nights. We do have jumpstart days. We have lots of things that happen in the schools. Our athletic programs, you know, just FCCLA. We have a lot of things that happen where we do get parent involvement, but we just need them to continue to
Right.
be involved with education also, with what's going on in the classroom. You know, what's my child doing at school? What can they do better to help their child? You know, so, and those are things. And I've always said this, probably bottom line, and I believe it with my true heart, is if you just show your children a little bit of like, hey, reading's important. I read to my children every night. I was talking to my wife about that the other day. I said, it's funny, the little things that you miss when they're gone. And I said, I remember when they were little, it was every night. It took us 15, 20, 30 minutes sometimes, and we'd pick out one of their favorite books and we'd read to them every night. And that's what it takes. It takes that involvement with your child. And we have a lot of great kids. And I've always told Billy this, every time I go on the radio, we always have a lot of great things that happen in our Raton Public Schools. You know, our valedictorian this year, you know, gets a full ride scholarship to UNM and also is already in their medical school.
Right.
Not too many people can boast on those things. And there's a lot of other great kids that come out of Raton Public Schools. So I just want people to remember that education is the most important thing in your child's life at this point, and just keep being positive and keep trying to work with the schools.
And support, another thing would be to have the parents show up for the ball games and things like that. Noticed over the years, the participation, it seems like we're not quite filling up as many seats in the
No,
gym
we're
or
not.
at the stadium as we.
And I don't know if that's been a trend lately, but I even know when I coached years ago and we were in playoff games, there were some empty seats still, but I do know if it's, I don't know if it's just because they're not supporting the teams or it's because we have less players and less people out there. I just don't know. I wish it would be good to, again, we've had some rough times with our athletics and we're moving along, and we have some great things that are going on, you know. A lot of our athletes are really good athletes. We just need to get those people that don't have someone participating to show up to those games and say, hey, we want to root for the Raton Tigers. You know?
Right. And more student participation would be.
We would really like to have more student participation. I walk around the high school a lot of times, and I've always done that, even at intermediate school or mid-school, you know, and you see kids with such great potential. But again, I've always said this as a coach, is the kid, if you really want to play, get out there and show them what you can do. And honestly, you always got to know when you're going to participate in anything, whether it's athletics, education, any groups or anything that you do, you have to put out some effort. And what you put out is what you're going to get out of it. So those are some things that we can try to instill, and hopefully we can try to get more participation in our athletics and in our other groups.
It's getting the kids to support the kids in whatever it is they do,
Oh, it is.
academics or sports.
Oh, and bottom line is, it's we're all living this community of Raton. We all want to cheer for each other. Bottom line is, we just need to learn how to do it and keep doing it, and change that positive vibe in not only in our schools but in our community, to say, hey, I hope the Raton Tigers win today, or I hope the FCCLA group makes it to nationals and does a really good job. So we just got to support each other more.
Right. Andy, thank you very much.
Thank you, Marty, appreciate it.